Hello everyone, it's Neil here from 3D Tutor, back today with another tutorial. And I thought today that we'd do something kind of fun and interesting and go back to the medieval roots. So I thought, well, what's better than an actual crate? So let's create some crates. So with that said, let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is I want to delete my camera. I'm not going to need that right now. And I'm also going to delete this, this point light because it's the wrong kind of light anyway. And now I'm going to click on my cube, and I'm going to keep the cube round about the same size. So let's press first of all Shift Space, bring in our Move tool, press 1 on the number pad, and let's just bring it up just above the ground plane. Now press Tab, go into face mode, so this button up here, click on this face, Alt Shift, hold them both down, and click this left hand side here, and that'll select all the faces going round. The only face that you don't want selected is the bottom one. Now press Delete and click on Faces. Now grab this face, right click, subdivide, subdivide again. So I'm just right clicking and clicking subdivide, and then I'm going to end up with the main part of my crate, which is the post going up. Now if you press 1 and you press E now, and you just drag them up to how big you actually want your crate. Now grab the whole thing with L button, press delete, and click on dissolve, limited dissolve. And that'll make it then easy now to delete this face. So let's delete that face now. So delete faces. And now we're here, we might as well mark some seams. So let's mark our seams on the inside of these just to make it easy for when we come to unwrap these. We're going to keep these top faces on. We're not going to add bottom faces, and we're going to keep these on because these are going to create our metal bits of our crate. So let's press Control E, mark seam. And now let's create some faces on the inside. So I want to select each one of these, press the F button, and I'm just going to fill them in like so. And this is going to create the wood for the inside of our crate. So let's just select all these, press the F button, and then you should be left with something like that. Go to Face Select and select these 3 faces, press the P button and Selection. And now what you want to do is basically press the Tab button, click back on this, this inner cube, and now press Tab once more, and now we're going to add some edge loops in. So press Ctrl R, come over to the left hand side of here near the seam, and you'll see an edge loop gets created. Let's press something like 5, and then you'll notice that you get 5 edge loops. Left click, and then you'll notice that you can move them up and down, but we don't want to move them up and down, we want them pretty central. So right click, and you're going to end up with something like that. Now these are now separated, so let's hide these posts just for now, just to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. And what I want to do now is I want to actually split these individual faces away from each other, and I'll show you why I want to do that. So let's go into Face Select, and what we'll do is we'll select every other one on here. So press P, Selection, and now we'll go back in, and we'll do exactly the same thing on the others. P, Selection. And now you notice that this is all one object, but these are actually split up. And you're going to find out why we're doing that in a minute. So let's come to this one now, and we'll do exactly the same thing. So P, Selection, come to this part, P, Selection, and now let's do these 2 now. So let's do the same thing. Select this. And now finally this last one. So P, Selection, and I'm just shift clicking just to split them up. Now these are already split up away from them. Now press the B button, drag, and so you've got them all. Press Ctrl J, join them all together. Now why did we split all those up? I want to split them up because I want them the same object, but I want them all split up actually to do something with them, to create our wood on the inside, and this is the easiest way of actually doing it. So now if I press Tab, Alt H, I can bring in my post back. And now let's click on this cube here. Make sure you're in medium point, right click, set origin to geometry, and that'll put it right bang in the center. Now press 1, and now we'll make it smaller. So S, Z, and just make it a tiny bit smaller than these posts here. We can mess around with this as we go along, but basically a crate has posts going up, post going sideways, and it also has wood down the sides, of course, and normally some wood going at an angle here. So now with this selected, let's press Tab, grab everything, and what we're going to do now is extrude them out. So now if you go to these 2 links once more, come to individual origins and click this on, and now press E, you'll notice that you can pull them out to the thickness of the wood that you actually want. And you probably want them something around this thickness, so you can see that we're going to need a post basically going on top, and one going from here to here. So you're actually looking how much gap is in between these. And I think that looks about right. So still on individual origins now, press 1 again, press SZ, and what you'll do is you'll bring them all slightly in. So we've got a little bit of a gap going down there, and that's exactly what we want to make that wood look more natural. Now let's press A, press Ctrl E, and let's mark all our seams out. This will make it much easier as we go along. So now let's press Tab once more, hide these posts with clicking on them and pressing H button, and now we're left with this. Press Tab again, make sure you're on face select, and now what you're going to do is go down and you're going to delete all these faces. And the reason we're deleting these faces is because it's on the inside of the crate. No one's going to see it because we're not actually making a crate that opens. If you do want an open crate, then just leave these, of course. So delete faces on that one, and now we'll delete these. These are pretty much wasted UV space because we have a post in here and nobody, even if you're undoing the crate, can see these faces here. So any faces you can do without, just make sure you do, because at the end of the day it speeds up rendering and things like that. So plus if you put in a games engine, the lower the polygon count, generally the better it is. So let's delete these faces now, and you should be left with something like this. Okay, now let's create the top part for our crate. So let's press Tab, Alt H, and let's just bring these back so we can see what we're doing. And now what we're going to do is we're going to press Vert Select, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these top verts here. Now the reason I'm selecting these and not this whole plane is you can see that this dips down slightly because of how we did our wood. So once you've grabbed all the inside of here, press Shift D, press Shift Space, go to Move, and now you should be able to move them up exactly like that. And that's exactly what we want actually. Now press P, let's split them up away from this mesh. Tab mode, click back on them, back into edit mode, and then press A, and then press E just to bring them down. Now if they wobble all over the place, just press the Z button and you'll be able to control then how big they are. Now next thing you want to do is you want to actually bring them, so I'm going to select them all with A. I want to bring them down and just see where they're going to fit in and how thick they're going to be. At the moment it's a bit hard to tell, so I might have to move them in the end just to make them fit in properly. But what I want to make sure is that these are actually in this part here. So what I mean by that is if I come up to these links again and go onto medium point, then press the S button, I can make sure that I'm bringing them out to where I want them to actually start. Because generally these parts of the wood are more over this side. So you'll see what I mean in a minute when I've actually put the top on. So next what we want to do is we want to actually now make these larger and make them pieces of actual mesh and pieces of wood. So let's come again once more to our individual origins, press the E button, and now I can drag them out to whereabouts I want them. And I want them to be slightly lower than the top here and a bit further in than these here. So you can see now if I press Tab on, this is kind of the style of the crate, and more pieces of wood are actually going to come across here. If you want your pieces though to come in further than this point and do it that way, that's fine. Do it that way. I mean, who's to say what looks better and what doesn't. So with that done now, I'm just going to tidy these up first. So I'm going to hide these posts and I'm going to hide these as well, and I'm just going to tidy these up just to make it very easy for myself. So what I'll do is first I'll get rid of all these faces on here. So I'll just zoom in a bit and delete these faces, and then you'll notice that all the seams are already marked on all these, which is good for us. So let's delete these faces again. No one's going to see them. Now press Tab button, and we want to set the origin now basically to the center of the cube, so that when we mirror them, they're going to be mirrored perfectly. So press Alt H, come to the main bulk of the cube, which is these wooden pieces here. Right click, set origin to geometry, Shift S, and cursor to selected. Now you can see that the cursor's bang in the middle of our cube, and now we can once more go back to our top parts, right click and set origin to 3D cursor, and that makes sure that when we come to mirror these now, it should mirror directly on the bottom. So let's give that a try. Come over to your little spanner, add modifier, come to mirror, and now you're going to click the Z, take this X off, and now you notice that they're mirrored perfectly well. You will notice there's a gap there. Don't worry about that, we're going to sort that out in a minute. So now if I apply this, press tab, you'll notice that we've got the top and the bottom of the crate done, and all the seams are already done as well, which is exactly what we wanted. So next thing we'll do now is we'll put these tops on. So let's come to our post now, press the tab button and come to face select, select the top parts of the post, press Shift D and just bring them up very slightly. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to make these a little bit bigger. So make sure, again, you're on individual origins. If you're on medium point, it'll pull them out all at the same angle. It doesn't really work very well, so just make sure you're on individual origins. Press the S button and let's make them a tiny bit bigger. Now we are going to bevel these as well, so we need to make sure that we've got enough gap to bevel them. So what I mean by that is if I now press the E button, I'm going to pull them down and I'm going to make them, if you look, just slightly below. If you're not happy with it, just pull them up a little bit like that. And we're just going to bevel the top ones. We also need to mark our seams as well. So the seams on the bottom aren't marked yet, so let's just press Ctrl E and mark seam, and now we'll mark the seams on the top as well. So just grab these, Ctrl E, mark seam, and come to vert select and we'll grab each vert on the inside. And again, we're doing this all before we mirror it, just to make it very easy for ourselves. So let's mark seam, and now finally we'll go to face select, select these top faces, and what you're going to press is Ctrl B and just bring those down just a little bit. And you can hold the shift button down and that can slow down how fast you're pulling those out. So just make them until you're happy with them, until they look crate-like, let's say. Now press tab button, and what we're going to do now is press Ctrl plus button, and you're going to grab all those and you're going to split them off. So P, selection, tab, click them again, and now we need to set the origin again to this cursor here. So right click, set origin to 3D cursor. That pops that in there, and now we can come across again to our add modifier, and we're going to pick mirror modifier. Click on the bottom one, take the top one off, and now they're mirrored perfectly on the bottom as well, and also the seams are marked again, so that's the best thing. So let's click apply now, and now finally we just need to put the tops on these. So Shift A, and what we're going to bring in is a plane, and when we bring in our plane should come exactly where we left our cursor, which is good. So now let's bring in the plane just so it's past these points here, and pull it up, and it wants to be just above. Like I said, if you pull it down, look, you can see the pieces of wood here. So it wants to be just above those pieces of wood, like so. And now we're going to go over the top of it, press tab once more, Ctrl R, come into the side of it. Now, where you're going to put this edge loop depends on which way you want the wood going. So you can have it going that way or this way. It's entirely up to you. So Ctrl R, and I'm going to press 4, left click, right click. I'm just looking now to make sure that I'm happy with the wood going across. Is it too big or is it too small in comparison with these? You might need to put 5 edge loops depending on what you've built. Completely again up to you. So now with this build, let's grab every other one again. Press P, selection, and now let's press tab, and we're just going to make sure that we select both of these. So press Ctrl J, tab once more, A, press Ctrl E, and we're just going to mark seams already. And now you can see all the seams are marked. Now obviously this at the moment is a bit too high up, so let's just pull it down like so, and then we're going to press E and just extrude them up past that point. Make sure that you're on individual origins, come over the top with 7, and now you're basically going to squish them in whichever way, the opposite way to where your wood is going. So if I press now S, Y, you can see this green line is pointing the opposite way. Now if I push it in, you can see now that we can actually make wooden gaps in between them. And I think they're a little bit too thick, so what I'll do is I'll go back to tab, S, Y, and I'll just bring them out very slightly, holding the shift button down. And now you can see we've got a very good top to our crate. Now let's just make sure that they are set in the right place. I just want them a little bit lower, something like that. Again, I'm looking to make sure that these gaps are not getting in the way. Now if they are getting in the way, the easiest way to deal with this is just grab the top of the crate, hide that part, and then we can come to these now. So I'll also hide this as well. So let's press H, hide, come to this part here, the main bulk, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into vert mode, and I'm going to pull these right back to round about here. So come up to your links again, and let's go to medium point. Now we might as well do the top and the bottom at the same time just to save ourselves some work. 7 and then S and X, I think it is. Yeah, there we go. Let's pull those back, and now we'll do the same on this side as well. So grab the tops, grab the bottoms, 7 again, and this one will be SY, and I'll just pull those back like that. Now tab once again, Alt H, and now you'll see you've got a much better room to work with. So now I can pull this all the way down, and the next one is here, as you can see. So let's put this exactly where we want it now. So I think something like that's looking quite nice. And now once again we'll set the origin for this. So right click, set origin to 3D cursor. Now before we add our mirror modifier, let's just clean these up a little bit, because we have got things that we don't need. So let's click on this, go into it, and we're going to hit the face select the bottom faces like so. And we don't need the bottom faces, no one's going to see in it. We don't need these edges here, no one's going to see into that, and we certainly don't need these ones here either. So on both sides of these, let's get rid of these. Click delete and faces, and now you're going to be left with something like that. We do need these little edges nearly touching, because if you look in you can't actually see through it, which is exactly what we want. Press tab button, Alt H, and bring in the main part of the cube. Now with the center origin there, we can simply come over to add modifier, come to mirror, and click on the Z and take the X off, and there you go. You've got the bottom and you've got the top, and if I apply, you can also see that we've got all our seams, and we've got the minimum number of polygons that we're going to need. So now we need to do the diagonal part. So easiest way is press 1, and that'll take you to the front of your crate. It's easier to work with that. Click on this main part of the crate, tab, let's go to face select this face, Shift D, bring it out, and generally the diagonal bits of what going over were a bit thinner than this part and this part, so let's make them thinner. SZ, bring it down, maybe something like that. That is a little bit thinner, and now I need to make it a little bit wider, basically so it fits in here. So if I press 1 and I make it wider first with SX, and the last thing before I rotate this is I need to put it right in the middle. So I'm going to split this off first, so I'll press P, selection, and now I'll click on it, and now I'll click set origin to geometry, and that puts that there, and now I need to put it in the middle. So I'll press Shift S and selection to cursor, keep offset, just click that on. That's going to pop it right in the middle, and now I can just drag it back out. Press 1 again, and now press RY 45 just to make sure that it's going to fit. We don't want anything overhanging the tops of here or anything like that, and I can see pretty much that that's fitting in pretty nice. So now I can press tab. It's already all the seams are already marked, so now I just need to make sure it's the right size. So I'm going to grab it all with L, press E, pull it out like so, and now I'm going to grab the whole thing and I'm going to drag it back in to see where it's going to fit in. Now generally when we're these diagonal bits are in, they're just like under this little part here. So I'm just making sure it fits correctly, and now I know that it fits correctly. I'm going to drag it back out, and again I'm going to tidy it back up, because we're going to mirror this as well, and we don't want these seams here, these faces here, sorry. So delete faces, and you're going to end up with something like that. Now we've got rid of those, let's grab it. So L, on vert select, so press L when you're hovering over it, and let's drag it into place. And basically you want to put it in the place where you're going to be happy with it. So just under here looks pretty nice to me. Press tab, and now I just need to reset the origin, and the reason I need to do that is obviously because we're going to add another mirror in. So let's right click, set origin once more to 3D cursor, and now when we add our mirror modifier on the Y, you'll see that it goes perfectly in the place where it should be. So let's apply that, and also we can see all the seams are marked, which is good. And now we just need to turn this round. So Shift D and RZ minus 90, and that will put them in place the opposite way to where they are right now. Now obviously you can't have everyone joining up perfectly in the corners, that's fine, as long as you're happy with the direction that they're going in. And finally now let's join everything up. Now we've got no light source or camera or anything else in this scene, so we can just simply press A, Ctrl J, and everything now is joined back up. All we need to do now is we can set the origin to geometry because we're not going to mirror anything else on here. Press Ctrl A, rotation and scale, and before we bring in our materials, let's add a camera. So if we put Eevee on, you'll see it's very dark scene at the moment. So Shift A, and we'll bring in a light. This time will be a sun, and you can see already that's looking a bit nicer. And we're just going to put it in place at the moment, just somewhere, just so we've got some light. And RX, and let's just pull it that way. And also I'll give it a bit of light this way. So now when we've got a bottom on, we'll have a little bit of shadow, which will give me a good idea what the material is going to look like. So now let's come across to our materials panel. So click on the cube, come over to materials, and we'll see we've already got one material already added for us. Let's add a couple more, so plus, and let's come to the first material. Now we do want this set to principled BSDF. Let's call the first one wood light. And you will find at the bottom of this video a resource pack, and in the resource pack is all these materials that I created, and you're able to download them for free. So just go and download that, and then you're ready to bring them in. There's also a reference image, which is a decal, which we're also going to put on this crate, so make sure you download that as well, and then just pop them somewhere where you're able to get them. So this is the wood light. Let's go to the next one, and we'll call this one wood dark. And then finally the third one, and we'll just simply call this metal. Now we want them all on principled BSDF, and we'll do our wood light first on the shading. But first of all, as you know, I've showed this many times before, but for those of you who are new to the channel, just make sure you come to add-ons, come over to this little search bar and put in NODE, Node Wrangler, click that on, click refresh and close it down. Now let's go across to shading mode, and we'll do our first one. So let's bring it onto materials again. Make sure you're in Eevee so you can see what you're doing, and let's just drag this one just a little bit over here. Press Ctrl, Shift and T, and now just find your actual resource pack. And my resource pack is here, create resources, and I'm going to go down to wood and light. And I'm now going to click on that, and then I'm going to shift click each one of these. Click this principled texture setup. And there you go. And you notice that it comes out like that. Now the reason for that is they're not unwrapped correctly at the moment, so it doesn't matter. We're going to go into UV editing after this. So let's do wood dark now, and it's exactly the same thing. So Control Shift T, click up, find your wood dark, shift click these, and click principled. And finally now let's do our metal. So click the principle, Control Shift T, metal is here, click all these, and there we go, all three of them in. Now let's go to our UV editing, and what we can do is we can grab everything, and we can click U and unwrap, and that'll unwrap everything like this. Now we can see we have got one issue here, and the issue we have here is these posts. We didn't delete the top part of the post, so let's do that now. So we're going to vert select these top verts like so, press H for hide, and you can see this is the issue here. So delete these top faces, delete faces, and now press Alt H, bring everything back, A, and now you should be able to unwrap absolutely fine, and there you go. I should note that the UVs should all be pointing up on these, just to make sure they're the correct way. So we're going to do that now, but the first thing we'll do is we'll work on our metal pieces. So let's go to vert select, and we don't need to actually change this, we can leave it on there, but I will put it on wood. So just go down where you see this light wood, just because I like something behind the UVs. So let's click on this metal piece first. So I'm going to grab this one, this one, this one, and then the bottom ones. Come across to materials panel, click the metal and click assign. And let's also drag this over, put it on Eevee, and now we can see exactly what we're doing. And I'll also get rid of this, so just press the T button and that'll get rid of that. And I'll make this a tiny bit smaller, just so I can get a good idea. Now this is our metal, which we can see here, and I think I want my metal to be maybe a little bit bigger, or maybe, is that a bit blurry? I think it is. So let's make these a bit better. So how to do that, we'll press U, and we'll just unwrap them again. And now let's look what they're looking like, and they're looking a bit better. You can make the colour or the surface a little bit less specular using this button here. You can see you can make them darker or lighter. I think I'll turn my specular up perhaps a little bit more like that, and it gives it a little bit more shine. Perhaps that's a bit too much shine, but what I think we'll do is when we've actually finished this, we'll just go in quickly and just make sure the shading on this is okay. So now let's do the other part. So we'll grab now the tops of these and the posts and the diagonal pieces as well. So let's grab all these like so. Just make sure you've grabbed them all. And now you can see they've unwrapped like this, and some are going the wrong way and some are going the right way. So let's now press U for unwrap. And now what we'll do is we'll grab all the ones that are going the wrong way. So you see all these going sideways. If you look at the grain of the wood, it's going up. So the easiest way of doing that is simply to press the B button, grab the left hand side of these, press Ctrl plus, and then you'll be able to grab all those. And then we'll pretty much do the same here. So Ctrl plus, let's grab those. And now I'll come in with the L button, and I'll just hover over these nodes and grab these ones as well, and do the same here. Now all I need to do is press R90 and turn them round. And now you'll see they're looking much better. Now to make it easy to work with these, press the A button, come up to UV and click on Pack Islands. And you'll notice that turns them all the wrong way around again. We don't want that, so come down to where it says Pack Islands here, click on this and click Rotate. Now what that does is it cleans them all up for you, puts them in the right place, and because we've ticked this off, it means that Blender, when it repacks them, won't try and rotate them to fit them into the UV space. So if you leave this on, Blender will try and make the best use it can out of the UV space. But because we're using separate materials, and this material is actually seamless, it doesn't actually matter in this case about doing that. So now let's look at the size of our wooden parts. And don't forget as well that this should be dark. So let's press Tab, come over here and click Assign. And now you'll notice that the slightly darker than the other wood. So let's look now and press Tab once more and look to see if you want them bigger. So if you make them bigger, they're going to look something like that, which I don't think's that great. You might do. Press Tab, and I'm going to make them actually a little bit smaller, so I get a lot more actual indentations and little marks and things like that in them. Remember, this is a low poly, and it's just to give you an idea of how to create a decent looking crate. So I'm happy with that. Now let's go to these parts. So what I'll do is I think I'll hide these parts just to make it a bit easier, and I'll grab each one of these, and I'm also going to hide these as well. So just make sure you got them all, press H for hide, and now I'll grab all these with A, and you can see these are unwrapped like this. So press U for unwrap, that'll unwrap them like this. And now we need to simply go in again and turn the ones that are facing the wrong way, which is these. You can see they're going this way. So just turn them around. So I'm going to go in and press L on the ones I want to turn around. And just make sure you grab them all. And that looks like them all. So R90, let's turn them around. Press A, UV, and Pack Islands. And you'll notice that they're all kept the same way. This is because Blender automatically remembers your choice from before. So now we can see that they're all going the correct way, and now if I press Tab I can see exactly what they look like. And just make sure that you're happy with how these look. You can mess around with them and see if they look better, bigger or smaller. So let's make them a little bit bigger. And let's have a look at that. And I think actually they look better like that. Yeah, they do. I think I'm happy with that. So finally, let's now go back to shading, and we're going to do our metal. So let's bring in the metal, and at the moment you can see that it's a little bit shiny. I mean, you can see the light bouncing off that. It's a bit too much, to be honest. So now just make sure you're on your metal. What you're going to do is you unplug this metallic first, and you'll notice it goes a lot more dull. Now what you can do is you can actually mess around with this and make them however you want them to be, and you can also change the subsurface colour. You can even change it to blue or something like that, and that means the shine when it comes off them will be that colour. And I'm also going to unplug this roughness, and now I'm going to turn this roughness either up or down depending on how I want it, so we can have them very shiny like that. But for me, I think on this I'm going to actually turn them the other way down and have them much more dull. So let's have a look at the light bouncing off there, and I think I'm happier with how they actually look. And now I'm just going to mess around just a little bit more, and I just want to kind of get these not so black and white, the difference on them. So I want to bring this down. Let's have a look at the metallic as well. If I pull that up, I want them to be round about the same colours. So let's have a look, like so. And now we can see that they're very shiny. So now I need to drop up my roughness like so. I'm just going to fiddle around with these just a little bit, just to get it kind of where I want it. So I'm just going to put them all halfway up. Now I don't want it too shiny, and I don't want them too dull. So if I hover over here, you can see the actual shine coming off of there. So let me just turn that down just a slight bit, and let's look at the specular, turn it up a little bit, and now the roughness, I want them a little bit shiny, not too much. So I can see a little bit too much there. So let's move up and down and have a look at that. Okay, that looks about right for me. Right, let's go back into modeling now. Press the tab button, and now what's left to do is to do our decal. So first thing we need to do is edit, preferences, come over again to where it says add-on, click on this button here, and type in image. And you'll get something that says image export, import images as plain. Just click that on, click refresh, close that down. Now let's make sure first of all that this cursor is in the center. So click on your cube, press Shift S, and you're going to put cursor to selected. That's going to make sure when you bring it in, it's going to be right there. Press Shift A, come over to image and image as plain. And now what you're going to do is you're going to find that reference that I made. Now this is the wheat logo, and if you click on this button here, you'll see this is what it looks like. I just quickly made this in Photoshop, and I just gave it an old kind of look using a mask. So they're pretty easy to create, so go ahead and create your own if you want to do that. So let's double click on this, and now let's press Shift Space and move, and now we'll bring it out a little bit, and now we'll press R, X 90, and press 1. And I'm going to put it in the correct place. So I'm going to pull it back, so it's just in front of there to where I want it, and I think I'll have it something like that. Now this bit's going to be hidden away in a minute, so just put it wherever you want yours. Let's see if I make it a little bit bigger, and I think that looks a bit better like that. So first thing we have to do is we need to come over to our little TV here, and we need this button here, screen space reflection. So let's tick that on, click on refraction, and now come over to your little material button. And what we need to do now is we need to make sure that screen space refraction is on, and also we need to make sure that the blend mode is set to alpha blend, and you'll end up with something like this. Now this is not finished obviously, because it still looks not quite right. So let's go now into shading, and now let's fix this a little bit. So let's pull this one out here a little bit and go round, and let's add in now a Shift A, and we'll add in HUE, so hue and saturation, and let's bring that up and drop that in there, and let's zoom in a little bit, and you'll notice now when we turn this value down, it gets rid of all those white marks on the outside of this, which is something that we didn't want. So now that's that done. Let's pull this over here, and we can actually unplug this and it won't make any difference, as you see. Let's copy this over, so Shift D, and now let's plug this into the shader, and you'll notice it goes white, and now you have control of what color you actually want this to actually be. So if you go to color and you put it on, I don't know, something like green, you can have it green, whatever color you want. So let's put it as white, and I'm just going to turn it down nearly to the same. I just want it a little bit duller than what it was, because I think what it was a bit too dark, to be honest. So I'm just going to bring it just a tiny little bit more, something like that. And then I'm going to press double tap A, just make sure I'm happy with it, which I am. And now I'm going to go back to modeling. Tab, and let's have a look around. And that's looking very nice at the moment. So I think I'm happy with how that looks. Now let's hide our sun. So H for hide. Grab everything, click on another point of it, press Ctrl J. When you're joining things, just make sure that there is a yellow part and an orange part, and then it'll join everything up like so. Right, let's bring in our sun again, so Alt H, and then everything's back and everything's looking pretty good. So now we need to add a floor, and we need to add a round bit going on them just to set up a nice scene for us. So let's double tap A, press Shift A, and we're going to bring in a cylinder. Now it's up to you how many sides you want your cylinder. I think I'm going to put mine up just a slight bit more just to make it a nice point. So let's press 64 like so, and now I've got something very nice to work with. I'm going to press S, bring it out. Now this is going to be the outside of so we're going to have 3 crates in here, 2 here, 1 stacked on top, and then this outside is going to be just a nice thing to present it. So let's make it a bit bigger. We can make it smaller as we go along, and the inside of this actually is going to be stone floor, which we've not brought in the material yet. So let's now bring this up a little bit and see how big we want it. So I'll come to face select, grab the bottom face, shift space, move, and now I can move this up. And I'm just looking now how thick I want my wood around the outside. I think that'll be okay actually. So let's now go here and Alt Shift click, and you should be able to grab all of these around the outside like so. And now what I'll do is I'll press E and then S. So that was E, enter, S, and then this is going to be my my piece of wood going around the outside. So all I need to do now is I need to delete this part. So let's delete faces and delete faces, and now let's give this something in between here. So go to vert select, grab this vert, Alt Shift click, right click, and bridge edge loops, and then you'll end up with something like that. And finally, we don't need the bottom here, it's a lot of wasted polygons, so let's Alt Shift click, delete faces. And finally now let's look at our front. So let's go to the back, which is around here. Come to verts, and we'll select these verts going round. So all these going round, as you see. Control E and mark seam, and then I'm left with something like this. Now I want to bring in another cylinder, but I don't want it to be as many polygons as this. So now what I'll do is I'll press Shift A, and I'll bring in a cylinder, and this opens at 64. Let's put something like 24 in. I think that'll be ample actually. And I only need the top of this actually, so I'll drop it down, go to face select, select the bottom, Control plus on the number pad, delete faces, and then we're left with this. Click on the top face, delete, only faces, come back to vert select, Alt Shift click, all these verts, Alt F, and that joins them all up. And now I can make this bigger, so I'll press 7 on the number pad, press S, and I'm just going to bring it out just till it's past this point. You can check that if you press Z button, go into wireframe, you can see now it's just past that point. Z solid, let's go back to EV and we'll put that on, and now let's bring this up to where I want it, which is just below these crates, just so they're sat on them like so. Okay, so we don't need to mark any seams in this, and the seams are marked in this one. Now I will show you if we click on this one for instance. We'll add a material actually, so let's click the plus down and wood light, and you'll notice at the moment it's like that. Press the tab button, Control A, rotation and scale, tab once more, U for unwrap, and now unwrap them, and you'll notice that it's kind of unwrapped not very nice at all actually. And the reason for that is if we go now to UV editing, press tab, it's unwrapped like this, and that's nothing like what we wanted. So let's go and fix that first. So come over to your face select, select this face, go to the next one, press the L button, that'll select everything, press U, come down to where it says Light Map Pack, click OK, press U once more, follow active quads, click OK, and now you'll notice it unwraps very nicely, albeit the wrong way round, but it's unwrapped pretty nice. So press Tab, A, R, 90, let's turn it round, and now you'll see it's looking very nice. Now it might be a little bit too big or too small. Let's just make it smaller, and let's have a look. And yeah, I think that's looking nicer like that, looking a lot more realistic. And finally, we need to do this bit. So Tab, vert select, L, U, unwrap, and that's unwrapped like that, but it doesn't look right again. So let's come now and press Tab once more, plus, and we're going to add a new material now. So click on New, double click, and we'll call this Stone Floor, just like that. And now I'll just come over to Shading, and the same thing as what we've done all the way through. Control Shift T, find your stone floor, which is also in the pack, shift click all these, click Principled, and we're going to bring in our stone floor, and then we're going to just assign it. So Tab, Assign, and you'll end up with something like this. And clearly this stone floor at the moment's far too big, so let's go to UV editing, grab our piece, press A, zoom in a little bit so I can see what I'm doing, and let's bring it out a little bit. And you can see already that's looking much nicer. I think though we might bring this in a bit, but we'll see. So let's go to modeling now. So now the last thing we need to do is we actually need to fix this part here. So what I'll do is I'll go back in, and what I want to do is I want to select this part here. So let me press Tab and try and grab this, and go to Face Select. And there we go, let's grab that. So let's just bring this out a little bit more. It doesn't look right. I'm going to actually separate it off as well, just to make it easy. I did forget about this this tiny bit here. And what I want to do is I want to actually press Tab, and you can see that there are some gaps in the wood, and this doesn't sit right at the moment. And the reason it doesn't sit right is that the gaps in the wood shouldn't have this mark going straight over them. So what I'll do is I'll press 1, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we zoom in, we can see these little marks coming across here. These actually need to be taken out of here. So click on your decal, press Tab, and now we'll press Ctrl R, go to the left hand side and just pull the first one up, and then we're going to do it again. Press Ctrl R again, left click, and bring it up so it's just in the right place there. And I think I might zoom in a little bit more now so I can see what I'm doing. And let me just put that down. Ctrl R, left click, bring it up, left click again. Let's do this one. And you can't see anything at the moment, but there are faces being made here, so it doesn't matter if it's not exact. Just get them roughly in the right place, and you'll see it makes a huge difference to this. So Control R. And the last two. Control R. Okay, let's go to Face Select. And now I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these faces, so I know roughly where they are. I'm just shift clicking them, and oops, did I actually make one there? I don't think I've got one there, so I'll do one more. So left click, bring it down, there we go. Okay, so let's face select again, select these faces, and then all we're going to do is just delete these. So delete and faces, and now you'll see it's going to make a huge difference. So press Tab, and we've got these. Let's just put these in the center as well. So right click, set origin to geometry, just to make it easy so we can move it back. And now let's drop them right just in front of where the wood is. You can hold the shift button down to bring it out very slowly, like so. And now if you press double tap A, you'll see that looks so much more realistic now, because it actually looks like it's imprinted on the wood. Okay, so now let's join these two up again, Control J, and we'll set the origin as well. So set origin to geometry, and at the moment I've got crate logo. Let's just call it crate, so CRATE, and the cylinder we'll call floor, so FLOOR. and everything else should be the same. Right, let's now make some more of these. So bring it over here and Shift D, and let's rotate these round. So RZ, I just want that way, and I think I want this rotated a bit that way, something like that, just to make it a little bit different. I'm going to put that back, I think, like that. And then I'm going to bring this one up. So Shift D, bring it up, pull it over, and now I do want the logo facing this way, but I want it actually going the other way. So RZ, and let's face it that way. Drop it down a little bit just so it's sitting on top of everything in a nice way. Double tap A, and let's look what that's looking like. And let's say that this needs to come just a little bit more forward so it looks like it's actually being used. And let's look at that, and I think that's looking quite nice. So now let's bring in our camera. So Shift A, camera, and you won't see anything at the moment. If you press 0 on the number pad, that'll take you to here. Just zoom in a little bit till you're happy with this being near the outside. So just get it round about here. Come over to this button here. Now to open that, you press the N button. Come over to View, click on Lock Camera to View, and you can close that a minute while you bring it out. So let's scroll out a little bit, and now we're just going to set our camera up to a kind of interesting view of our scene. Now if you press Alt Shift, middle button, you can zoom in and out very slowly, and that makes it a bit easier. And I think that's going to look a pretty nice view. Once you're happy with where the camera's set, press the N button once more, close this off. So untick this, press N, and then just middle click anywhere around here, and that'll take you out of it. Now remember, this is just a basic render we're going to do. Normally we'd bring in a HDR, sky or something like that, or create our own. So the scene would look much better. So this is just a basic render, just to render this out and show you what it'll look like in the end. So let's do the Eevee render first. So we go on Eevee, renders 64, that'll be fine, and then just press F12. And let's just see what that's going to look like. And we'll just zoom out a little bit. And there's the render from Eevee, and it's a very low render as well, remember, so you've not got much light bouncing off or anything like that in this. It's just to give you an idea. And I think I will go to world, and I will just turn the world down just a little bit, just to make it a little bit brighter. And now what I'll do is I'll go back to my TV, and we'll do it in cycles. So come to this Eevee, put it on cycles, and change this render here just to something like 30, just so you can have a good idea of what it's going to look like. And then finally press F12, and I'll be back when this finishes. So everyone, that's what you're going to get in cycles. As you can see, we've got some nice crates there, and it took very little work. Perhaps if I was going to do it again, I would change the metal. I would make it probably a bit nicer, and I would also make sure that I've got a Sky HD RI, as I say, illuminating this correctly, just to make it look much better. But it is just a tutorial, and it's just showing you I can get a very good result in a very short space of time. So now let's press the X button and go back to our scene. So if you look down below, guys, there are some links. If you want to support the channel, you can purchase one of my online courses. I do a lot now. I've got one at 20 hours long, one at 5 hours long, and one 1.5 hours long. I do teach 16,000 students at the moment, so you can see they must find some benefit in those courses. And also, if you don't want to pay for them, then you can get them free as well. Just check out the links down below. If the links down below do say coupons have now run out for this course, the reason for that is I found that some people are actually stealing the coupons, putting them on websites and giving them away to people free who aren't my subscribers on YouTube. And I don't want that. I want to give my subscribers on YouTube the free coupons. So if you do see that down below, just drop me an email. I've put that in down below, and I'll be happy to send you out a coupon. That's no problem at all. So with that said, thanks a lot everyone. Happy modeling, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.